Hi, I'm Chevanese, and today we're doing the presentation on animation for International Girls in ICT Day. If you haven't picked it up just yet, I'm a girl in animation in ICT, and we're gonna discuss animation today. All right. So who am I? I'm a mother. I have a beautiful daughter called Ariana White, and an awesome husband called Adrian White. I own and operate my own business, working on our own IP, Abiko and Maroon, so you can look out for that animated series. And I've been an educator since 2010 and an animation educator since 2014. So, this webinar we're supposed to cover, what is animation, and we're going to go into a little demonstration as to how you can create an animation, right? So I want to tackle the first question of what is animation, and it's not set in stone. You can think of it as a series of images or a sequence of images that we just simply add some timing to it, and then we get this illusion of motion, something that's tricking the brain to say this image or this series of images are actually moving the item that are in the images. So I want to first talk to you about the first animation that I created, just letting you know that you can really use any tool to create animations. So the very first animation that I created, I use Microsoft Paint. I know, right? I use Microsoft Paint and Windows Movie Maker. Paint is usually, so if you have a PC, Paint is usually automatically installed on your operating system. And if you have a new version of Microsoft Windows, you might want to go to their website and download Microsoft Essentials, which would have Windows Movie Maker as a part of that installation, right? So, Paint, I liked Paint, or I used Paint before because, well, it was just an easy way. I'm coming from a background of art. I've always done art. I've always been drawing all of my life. And so I knew that I wanted my drawings to move, and I knew I wanted the computer to move them. So I decided, okay, I'm going to draw in Paint, right? And so what I did was I just drew a series of images in Paint. Let me give you an idea. Well, you know what? When we go to our demonstration, you'll get a better understanding. So I drew up a series of images using Microsoft Paint, and then I use Windows Movie Maker to add some timing to it to make those images seem as though they are moving. And voila, I had an animation. So, so let's go to the demonstration. I mean, that's the exciting part, right? That's what you really want to say. That's the money maker. So I'll be using Adobe Photoshop. I'm going to be creating a bouncing ball using Adobe Photoshop. All right, so check it out. Already have it activated. Don't worry, I know this might look a little bit intimidating. I'm using an Apple device, right? But don't worry, it looks pretty much the same in Windows. And at this moment, I'm using Photoshop CC, that's Photoshop Creative Cloud. But really, this demonstration can work for any version of Photoshop. When I started out, I was using Adobe Photoshop 7, not CS 7, Adobe Photoshop 7. So let's take a look now. So we can create a new document, and usually that's what happens in Photoshop. You open up the software and you can click on File and then New, and a window pops up. I'm going to put in the dimensions. So I'm going to put in bouncing ball, because that's what I'm calling my animation, right? And you can give it any dimensions that you want. So you can give it inches or pixels. I'm gonna go with pixels today. A popular one to use, a popular width to use is 1024. Oh my goodness, brain not working today. So I'm gonna use a height of 470 pixels, right? Which is gonna give me something landscape. And you notice it tells us the orientation, portrait versus landscape, right? I'm gonna leave my resolution at 300, but if I were putting this onto the internet, 72 would be fine as well. I'm leaving the color mode to be RGB. That's again for something that's going on screen or on YouTube or so forth. I'm gonna go with the highest bit, but again, if you increase the bit, you're just increasing the file size. So be careful. If you're doing a simple animation, 8-bit is fine, right? All right, and I'm gonna go with a background of white. In the older versions of Photoshop, you can use a transparent background as well. So create, or in the older versions of Photoshop, click OK. All right. I don't need that tab. Libraries, nope, we don't need libraries just yet. Where is the close? Alrighty, nice and big. I'm using, for the Mac, it's Command and plus to zoom in. For PC, it's Control and plus, right? Alright, so as I said, I want to do a bouncing ball. So remember what I told you about my first animation that I created, which was using Microsoft Paint, right? So what I did, I created a new document each time. So I'm gonna activate my paintbrush because we're doing a simple demonstration, and so that we can see it properly.
I think is it fine? The power update. You want to play for later?
Later.
Maybe tomorrow.
Thanks much. Right. So for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm just choosing a color of black, and I did that by, I can click on the foreground color here. You notice Photoshop tells me what it is, and that's the one that is in front. I just simply click on it, and from the information here, you can go through these different sliders to choose a different color, but I'm choosing black as my color for today, or something close to black. Okay, now I'm also going to promote the background. If you notice here where it says layers, this window that says layers, it says background and there is a padlock on it. That means it's locked, right? So what we need to do, this little 3 lines to the right. So make sure that layers is highlighted, and then we're gonna say promote, where is it? Oh my goodness. Promote background layer is what I'm looking for. I am not seeing it. Let me see, right click. Alright, okay, layer from background. And I'm gonna rename this one to be 1, because that's my first image, my first drawing that I'm creating. Okay. And so what I want to do, first thing I want to do is to demonstrate the arcs at which the ball will be bouncing. I want to demonstrate what the bounce is going to look like, right? So I'm going to create the arc. So I can create a straight line. So under the shapes, there it says line tool, and I hold on my shift key. Whoa. I hold on my shift key. Oh dear. There we go. There we go. Nope. Nope. Alright, just Command Z that. I think I created it as a shape. Yeah, that's what I wanted. So let's do this again. Alright, so I hold on my shift key and draw a straight line. And now I activate my paintbrush tool. Again, if you hover over it, it tells you what the tool is, and it also gives you the shortcut keyboard key that you can use to activate your paintbrush, right? I'm gonna go back to 1, and you notice now I simply just left click on the layer, drag it up. You saw that blue line a while ago? Let's go again. Let's drag it up, and you see that nice little blue line? That's telling you where the layer will be dropped. I release my left mouse button, and now I've changed the order on the layer stack. Oh my goodness, I have an issue. Alright, so I'm gonna make this layer, I'm gonna delete this layer, right click on it, delete layer. And the reason why I'm deleting the layer is because I want to be able to see my my information here. So I want the background to be transparent. So I'm gonna go again back to my triple lines and then click new layer, or I could have pressed the shortcut keys that was indicated, and again let's call this one arc. Okay, paintbrush tool activated, and I just want to show I'm using a mouse, so this is not going to this is not going to be perfect. Alright, so that's the bounce that I want for my animation, for my ball. The next thing I'm going to do, so I'm going to use a different color so you can see what I'm doing. No, goodness, didn't click on the red. Let's get a nice red color there. Now, how animation works, the spacing between the objects will determine the speed of the animation. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use a technique called pose-to-pose animation, which is one of the principles of animation. And you can check out the principles of animation on your own. And how pose-to-pose works is I determine my first point. Uh-oh, I thought it was red. What? Didn't I click on red? Didn't you change? Why aren't you changing? Alrighty. Alright. Alright, so what I did a while ago, because I'm not sure why the color mixer wasn't working for me, I just activated my swatches panel and added I wanted red, so I used the red out of the swatches, and I still have my brush tool activated. So again, I mark where my beginning point is, I mark where my end point is, and then how pose-to-pose work. In this case, I want to show acceleration. So it's starting at the top, and as gravity acts on it, it's starting to speed up as it goes down to the ground. And how we represent acceleration is increasing the spacing between the objects. So if you notice here, the space is quite small, and then it gets a little larger, and then a little larger, and then a little larger, and then much larger, right? That's representing acceleration. I now want to demonstrate deceleration. So it's coming off the ground, it's starting to reach a point, and then it hangs for a little bit. So again, I have my beginning point, my end point, and I'm going about halfway in, halfway in, halfway in, halfway in. And what is important to note, the number of strokes that I have between the beginning and the end must be consistent. So here I have 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And for the next arc, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. And so again, I'm going to have 4, 2, 3, 4. And this is not an exact science. Just maybe I should have made it 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. I also want to show that once the ball has completed its bound, it's gonna slow down. So the same theory again, same theory. So my beginning point, my end point, and then I want it to go at a constant speed. So halfway. But in this case, I want it to go at a constant speed. Constant speed. Forgive me again for these marks. I am using a mouse and not a drawing tablet. This is so uncomfortable. And then I want it to slow down. And so we're just gonna make it closer and closer and closer to get it to slow down, right? So this is an important activity to do for your animation. This is planning out your animation before you even begin. And now I'm gonna find out how many drawings am I gonna use for this animation. So I'm just gonna number them out. Now this point, it's very interesting. We're actually gonna have 3 points, 3 drawings where it lands on the ground in quotes, right? So we have one where it's about to hit the ground. We have one where it hits the ground, and then we have one where it is coming off the ground. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, I'm not gonna do those. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 16, 17. Yay, Shelly can count. 18, 19, 20. All right, again, I'm not gonna mark off these 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and then we'll have 3 down here. 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. So in total, we're gonna create 42 drawings, right? All right, and this is a key activity to do in animation. Planning out your animation before you actually do the animation. So I'm using a traditional technique that I'm applying to the digital space. So this is actually a timing chart. That's something that was used in traditional animation, and I'm doing my version of a timing chart. So here it is. What I like to do with my timing chart is to actually create it on the plane of movement that I want to create, right? So you can investigate timing charts a little bit more, but you're gonna see mine is just a little bit different from how others do theirs, right? So now let's create those drawings. So I'm gonna create a new layer, and as you can see, I get the keyboard shortcut. For the Mac, that would be the control key, command key, and N. And on the PC, I believe it is just control and N, right? So I'm gonna call this one 1, because this will be my first drawing. So let's change that color. You know what? Let's not try to use the swatch anymore. Let's change the color to a blue. All right, and I'm leaving this visible because I'm gonna use it as a guide. I'm gonna leave my timing chart visible because I'm gonna use it as a guide, right? All right, so 1, and I'm not able to see all of the ball because it's just coming into screen, right? And when it is at its highest, the ball is a perfect circle. Now I'm drawing this by hand, so of course it's not a perfect circle, right? But I hope you'll be able to appreciate what is happening. or my efforts in making a perfect circle, right? All right, so what that means is at its pinnacle, each one of these arcs, at its pinnacle, it's going to be a perfect circle. So here, perfect circle. Oh no! Let's go again. There we go. And you're going to try and make this circle just about the same. Oh dear, I'm on the wrong layer. You want to make this just about the same size as the first one. Now I just recognized that I was on the wrong layer. I'm only supposed to create drawing one on layer number 1, right? So all I'm going to do, I'm going to activate my lasso tool. Command X. And on the PC that would have been Control and X. And I'm just going to create a new layer. And that should be 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So that should be drawing 14. Okay. Command V to paste Y. Command V to paste. Where are you? Okay, sorry. Activate my move tool just to move it in place. And if you were using the PC, it would have been Control and V to paste, and then activate your move tool and just simply move it into place, right? All right, so that was drawing 14. And now we're going to create, so 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. So we can now, we already copied and paste. So now what we can do, we can create layer 35. Okay. And now we can just simply paste, Command V, and put it into position, right? And again, the ball would be a perfect circle when it has landed and coming to a roll. So we have 32. Wait, why am I saying 35? I'm nobody. None of you could tell me I made a mistake. You couldn't tell me I was counting incorrectly. Thank you very much. 25. So I'm just gonna double click. I double click on the letter itself, on the wording. I'm just renaming it 25, and I press my return key on the Mac keyboard, and on the PC keyboard it would be enter. All right. So now I'm gonna create layer 32. 32, enter, Command V, and I simply move it to that point. And now 33, Command V, 34, and we're going to continue doing this right up till we get, right up to drawing 42. So 34, Chevy, why are you not doing I don't know why I'm not doing the shortcut keys. She's so silly. I have that discussion with my daughter all the time. Mommy is so silly. Alright, so Option, Command N. Option, no, not Option. Control, Command N. Nope. Option, Command N. Nope. Why not? Shift, Command N. Right. 35, enter, Command V, and move. Shift, Command N. 36, enter, Command V, and move. Shift, Command N. 37. You get the picture. And I don't know if you noticed, but I am trying to center that stroke into the circle, right? It gives a level of consistency. No, it's not gonna be perfect, but you can just simply use that to help you. 39. Finally we get to 40. Let's just nudge it over a little bit. So I'm nudging it over. I can nudge it using the arrow keys on the keyboard. And the last one, well, the last one in this section, 42, Command V, and move it. All right. And so as you can see, the spacing between the drawings are getting narrower and narrower, and so we're going to get it slowing down. All right. So now we need to look at why didn't she create drawings 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? Why did we just simply jump to the next one? All right, let me let you know now. So there's another principle of animation called squash and stretch. And what happens is, depending on the volume of the object, when gravity starts acting on this ball, it's gonna start stretching, and when it hits the ground, it will squash. And we do that. So for drawings 2, 11, so the ones that are next to the perfect circle, I'll make those a perfect circle as well. So let's create drawing 2, Shift Command N, 2, just to make our work a little bit more easier. I'm gonna place them 2. Oh, it was a little bit bigger. Oh well, sometimes that happens. We're actually doing freehand, and so that will happen. And again, I'm just changing the order in the layer stack. All right. And you know what? So I'm not going to start doing any squash and stretch until we get to the third one. That way we'll just make things a little bit more easier on us. So 3, okay, Command V. And we're just going to nudge it into place. And now we're going to create 12, 13. So we're going to create 13 and 15. Oh, we said about, so 12, 13, 15, and, the numbers are off. We'll figure it out. So 12, 13, 14. All right. So 12. And this is why it was important to mark all of them, is only because I'm doing this freehand and using the mouse. It was very difficult for me to write the numbers beside each of them. It's really important to label each one of those marks. 13. All right, we have 14. 15 would be somewhere here. All right, let's rename that to 15. 16. Yeah, so the numbers are a bit off. So hopefully I can solve that problem. All right, let me go back to my original count. I'm going back to my arc. I'm going to use my eraser tool. Where are you, eraser? Cannot remember. This is you. Eraser tool. I can make the eraser tool larger or smaller by using the square brackets on the keyboard. So these numbers will be incorrect. I'm going to make these layers unseen so that I can see, or you know what, maybe not unseen, that's a lot more work. Let's drag arc all the way up to the top so I can see that better. I'm gonna go back to my brush tool, make it red. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, we're good there. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. This would be 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26 would be the top. 32, 33, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, and then 31, 32, 33, and then 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43. All right, so we had one off. All right, so I'm gonna bring back that all the way to the lower end of the layer stack. All right, so we will need to change the name of 42. That should be 43. And so on and so forth. We'll soon get to 42, 41, 40, 39. Cue the music now. 37, 36, 35, 34, 33. All right. So I think we should be good now. 25, this should be now 26. And which one would be the top for here? Let's figure out the pinnacle. No, I already said it. It was 14 was the pinnacle, which was fine. All right. We're good again. Okay, so we created 14 to 16. So now let's create, so 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. So we're going to create 24, 25, 27, 28. So new layer again. Oh dear. 24. Command V. Same stuff that we were doing before. Literally, a lot of animation is repeating actions that you've done previously. Let's nudge it down a little bit. 24. 25. 26, 27. I know they're really close together, right? 27. Let's just nudge that down a little. I'm literally eyeballing this now. And then 28. And the only reason why I'm doing it this way is because we can use that Control C, Control V to our advantage, because we're using the same shape, right? All right. So now we want to apply the squash and stretch. So I'm gonna go back to my paintbrush tool. We want to create 4. So I go back to my layer stack. There's 3. Create a new layer. I'm calling this one 4. Make my brush a little smaller. pick up color. And now what we're gonna do, we're gonna stretch it. What did I do? Nope, nope. I just clicked on the quick selection tool. Oh my goodness. Paintbrush, where are you? Alright. So we're just gonna apply. Oh no, that's horrible. Still horrible, Chevy. I am not used to using. Alright, I'm gonna work with this one. I'm not used to using the mouse. Alright, so we're applying a little stretch. I know mine is a little bit smaller in volume, but what you want to do is when you bring it in, you need to also stretch it out, right, to these ends. So bring it in on these ends and then stretch it out and to maintain the volume. So this is a little bit smaller than this ball in volume, but I'm just working with what I have, so just bear with me. Alright, so I'm going to create 5, which again now you have a little bit more stretch to it. And then we create 6. And this is the point now where it actually hits the ground. Oh my goodness. 7. And this is a point now where it squashes. And then for 8, it's again stretched, but now going in the opposite direction. There you go. Alright, so now we're going to create 9. And as it's going back up, if you notice now, we need to get back to that perfect circle, right? Or that perfect circle-ish, right? Or perfect-ish circle? Whatever you want to call it. Alright, so as we are heading back up the arc, the stretch is now going to start tapering off again, and it's going to start going back to being that round ball. So 9, 10, and we need to start getting it into that round. 10, 11. We'll start getting it back now to that roundish looking ball. Alright, 13, 14, 15, 16 has been created. So now we're creating 17. And again now we start applying that stretch to it. A little bit more stretch. Squash. Alrighty. Whoa, I got 2 24s. Let's activate our move tool and set it to show control forms. We're not supposed to have 2 24s. There we go. We have an invader. So this one, I will delete that one. Just drag it down to the recycle bin to delete it. So 24, 28, and again. Paintbrush. Start applying that stretch. 42. Alright, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38. And we're good. I was just doing a quick check of, so what I'm gonna do, I notice these are a little bit too low, so I'm just gonna highlight them. So I'll click on 43, and now I'm gonna hold down the shift key on the keyboard and then click on 33, activate my move tool, and you notice now a bounding box came up around all of them, and that bounding box comes up because I activated show transform control when the move tool is activated. And I'm just gonna use my keys to simply nudge it up a little bit. That's it. All right, so now we have created all our drawings, and that's what I did basically using Microsoft Paint. So I created a drawing for each one of the actions that I wanted completed. All right, so how does this animation thing works now, miss? Come on, you need to give us some more details. You just made us sit down and watch you create 43 circles in quotes, right? All right, so let's make the magic happen. So in Photoshop, what we can do, there's an option. So again, we have layers activated. We can click on those 3 lines and we can say, where are you? Oh, before I forget, in Photoshop, at the top where it says File, Edit Image, at the end you see Window. Click on Window and then click on, in newer versions of Photoshop, it's called Timeline, and in older versions of Photoshop, it's called Animation. It's in alphabetical order, so it's easy for you to find it. Here it is, Timeline. All right, and once I've activated the timeline, I click on that little arrow beside it. It says Create Frame Animation, right? And then I click on the button and it creates frame animation. In the older versions of Photoshop, for layers, I simply clicked on those 3 triangles, and you're gonna look for something that says, create animation from layers, something like that. That's what you're gonna look for. Or in timeline, sorry, not in layers, in timeline window at the top, right? Create new layer from, new layers, nope, that's not it. Make frames from layers, there we go. And what it has done, it has created a frame for each one of the layers that we had. So we had 43, 44, 45 layers. So now it has created 45 frames for us. Now frames, how the eye works, we can have up to 10 to 12 images that the brain stores and records that. So once we're moving from image to image to image, that's how the brain now picks up, thinking that there's actually an animation going on, but really it's just the brain tricking us, and it can store up to 10 to 12 images, right? So in animation, 24 frames creates 1 second of animation. Oh my goodness, what did you just say, miss? Yes, 24 frames create 1 second of animation. Now for feature productions that you see, like what Disney and Pixar and those guys create, it's a different technique to create their animation, but the basic is the same. 24 frames create 1 second of animation. So what I'm gonna do, I don't need the arc, nor do I need the shape. So I'm just gonna delete those. So I've highlighted the frame and I click on the recycle bin. Yes, I want to delete it. Highlight the frame and click the recycle bin, right? So in frame 1, I want the ball. So remember when we were doing it, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh my goodness, it start look like an animation now. What is going on here, right? And so you can see now it's creating exactly what we need it to create, exactly what we want it to look like. So now in Photoshop, in the timeline view, we can tell it how much seconds we want that frame to last. So you can actually, you see where it says here 0 seconds, there's a little arrow there. You can click on the arrow and you can put in other timings. Now I'm gonna leave you guys to add your timing what you would want, okay? Right now I'm leaving mine to 0 seconds. I'm gonna test my animation. I'm gonna test my animation by pressing play. What? What? She just created an animation. All of those drawings, all of that hard work, all of those tedious stuff that we were just doing, we created an animation. Oh my goodness, right? So I know it doesn't look that perfect. It doesn't look that right because of course I was drawing it by hand. But what you can do, you can go back over the demonstration, use the shape tool, right? So remember we used the line before. We can actually go to it and use the ellipse tool and create something more refined, right? But I always recommend to my students, I'm just going to press stop. I always recommend to my students, create the sketch version first, do the timing, test out your animation first before you do the investment of using something that is more refined, because it's going to take you a little bit more time to do that. But for me and for this demonstration, I'm going to leave you with my sketched version. Please don't be too upset with me, right? All right. So now, but right now, this is still a Photoshop file. We want to export it as a movie or as a GIF, right? Us young people, you're not seeing me, so I'm just gonna tell you I'm also a young person. The laughing doesn't mean sarcasm, okay? So us young people, we like to use GIFs, right? So let me show you how you do that. So you can click on File. All right. In the older versions of Photoshop, you see something like Save for Web, right? And then once you click on Save for Web, then you will see a window pop up. And at the top, you tell it File Extension. You just click a drop-down menu and select GIF. And then at the bottom, you're going to click OK for it to render it into a GIF for you. For the newer version, we can click on Export. And then you can say, if you want it as a video file, you can say Export as video. So let's say it's something you want to upload to YouTube. You can use the video and upload the video to YouTube. Or if you want to share it with your friends, I can't remember where the GIF option is. Let me see, export as, there we go. Yes. So this is the option. So if we were using the older version of Photoshop, we'd click File and then Save for Web or Save for Web and Devices, and this window will pop up. You click on the drop down menu, you say GIF. You can test your animation if you want to. Where is the play button? Okay, in the older version there's a play button where you can preview it to the left, and once everything is okay and you like it, you can say Export All, or in the older version of Photoshop you can say OK. Alright? But I want mine to be a video. So File, Export, Render Video. And any minute now it's going to pop up. Photoshop tends to use a lot of resources for your machine. So don't be frightened if you see it taking a long time to do what it needs to do. It takes up a lot of RAM. Alright, so I can give my file a name, and you notice it's using the file name that I had given it when I created the new document. And then there are some options that you can, based on the information that you would have provided it before, it would have already had it in. So all you have to say is render, and now it's going to render my video. Where did I locate? Where did I store it again? Oh no. I should have told it where to render the video. So I'm just going back to see where it is that it stored it. Nope. Where did you store my... select folder. Alright. So it went to documents. Alright, cool. cancel. And now I'm gonna go to my Finder, Documents, and I can in on the Apple devices you can actually preview, or if not, just double click on your file. I'm hoping it will open. Okay. So now you can play it in like VLC or QuickTime Player or Windows Movie Maker, any one of those. And with QuickTime, I can actually set it to repeat, view, loop, and now play. And now we have a video that you can upload to Photoshop. Notice the background is automatically black for rendering, so just keep a note of that when you're creating your animations. I'm not going to do a demonstration on uploading a YouTube video. I'm hoping that you are comfortable with doing that. Alright, so just finishing up my presentation. So that was the demonstration on creating a bouncing ball using Photoshop. So if you have any questions for me, I'm on Twitter. I know Twitter is old-fashioned, but you can always follow me on Twitter and then direct message me. My website is chevanese.white.com, and I'm going to put this presentation onto SlideShare, which is slideshare.net/ChevaneseWhite. Hopefully, I can point this video as well, so not just the presentation. Hopefully, I can also incorporate the video into the SlideShare, and so you can access the presentation as well. Alright, so thank you so much. Enjoy International Girls in ICT Day. It is awesome. I'm so happy that we're celebrating girls and women in ICT. Anything that you are thinking of, ICT is a great option for girls, and animation is one of those subsets under ICT that you can pursue. I hope I've inspired you. All right. Take care. Bye.